So I nearly went bust. I nearly lost my whole business. I nearly lost absolutely everything that I'd worked for. And yeah, it very nearly went very, very wrong. A lot of people know my story. The fact that I got in a bit of a mess. I owed 250 grand across 3 different people. HMRC, TFL and a supplier. And the crazy part of it is I didn't actually know how bad the situation was. Now, at the time, if I go back to this period, I was extremely busy. As busy as I am now, but nowhere near as productive. I was a busy fool, you know. I didn't have the right people I needed. I didn't have anything in place. And to be honest, I was probably where a lot of people are in business. You know, they're stuck, feel like they've got to do everything by themselves. They're doing things on site, then they're doing the evenings off site, and they're running around like a headless chicken. You know, they don't have any direction, and everything they're doing is reactive, you know. And in terms of who they pay, it's he who screams loudest, and where the money comes from, it's who they scream loudest at. There's no real processes for anything. And I was basically a very bad person for that. Had loads of effort, 100%, always self-belief, effort. Self-belief, actually, not really. That's something I've built. That's something I've learned to have. And now I'm helping others to have. But yeah, I had everything. I had drive, you know, I was trying to do everything. But I just didn't know how, you know. I was doing way more than I needed to. I was a busy fool. And like I said, this is where a lot of people are. A lot of people are stuck in that rut, you know. They don't know how to get out of it. They've not been shown. You know, it's the same with anything. We only know what we've been shown, you know. Something might be obvious, but if you've not been shown it, you've not been shown it, you know. And that's where values come in, of working with like the right sort of people, because you get shown these things, you know. And if they're good at what they do and they care, they're going to make sure that you implement it and then keep you accountable, you know. Because you can have all these processes and you can be given all the information, you can be given the best software to use, but software is as good as the information you put into it, you know. And you've got to stick to it. And like anything, the setup of anything and changes are always a pain, you know. Like things, when you're making changes, things can be difficult, you know. It's not what we're used to, you know. Like it's the unknown, it's different, you know, so it's a bit uncomfortable. But once these things are set up, like it's like rebuilding a house, you know. You get in there, you strip it all out, it then looks even worse than it did before you bought it, you know. Once you stripped it, it's gutless, it's got nothing to it. Then you start rebuilding it, you know, and you're investing, you're putting things in and it starts to take shape. By the time it's done, you know, you've let your money come back in and everything else, and you've got a lovely home. You know, it's the same with anything. And the reason why I got in such a pickle is because I was here, there and everywhere, you know, but I had no one watching my back. I had no one covering me. And that's where having a good office comes in, is it covers you in every single way. And you don't need a big office, you know. I've got a small team. It runs very lean, you know, but it's so diverse and things get done, it's efficient. But when I go back to the period as to why I got in such a rut, things were just so different then, you know. Like my business didn't have anything it does now, and all of the people that I've got around me were non-existent. You know, I didn't have them people in these places then. Even my setup to like my addresses, and you know, I had information going to the wrong places, like TFL. All the letters were going to the wrong address, you know. And all of these things are things that are like small admin things, yeah, that I wasn't doing, that I wasn't aware of, or you know, I was too busy I was too busy putting out fires and, you know, dealing with stuff with the boys, or chasing money, or batting off people that owe me money, or drip feeding a supplier who then eventually took me to court because he wasn't ready, or he was tried to take me to court, put a winding up petition in on my business because he wasn't prepared to wait for the money anymore, you know. And all of this was because I was too busy. I was in a rut. I was caught in the weeds, you know. I wasn't looking over my business. I was in the thick of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you've got to be so careful. And the worst part of it is that even with all that, we were growing quickly, yeah? So you're investing heavily. We were growing way too quickly. We were taking on massive jobs, multiple big jobs, and we went from having no material to probably owning about 500 grand's worth of material within 12 months, which is mental, you know, because it was the majority of our turnover. But I think what we were doing is, where our accountant wasn't registering our VAT properly in our CIS, I think we were using VAT money to buy material. And I can say this now, and I've not put this out there before, but this channel here, this is to help business owners, you know, this is to help real construction people. Listen, on my content normally on the Stella YouTube, I put things on the line, yeah? This channel's a little bit different. This is just straight value. This is me talking to you, the construction business owner, or to someone who wants to become a business owner. And it's just warning shots, you know, like I don't want people to get in the same mess that I did, because it's horrible. And, you know, when I was in that rut, I genuinely was thinking about pulling the trigger on the business and maybe rebranding or something. I would have paid the supplier off, but HMRC and TFL, if I'm honest, they probably wouldn't have got their money. But I managed to sort my way through it. I managed to work my way through it. I got obviously a deal done with TFL, got that sorted out. HMRC, we got a payment plan in place. I mean, admittedly, we ended up paying almost 30 grand a month for a little while, which was ridiculous, but it's what we had to do. And then obviously the supplier, we got sorted out as well. But all of these things are like, they could so easily not have happened, you know? Like now, these sort of things, I've got Tracy who checks all the addresses. We've got a software that reminds us when vehicles are due for MOTs, or we've also got a transport manager. And the mad thing is, these things don't even cost a lot of money. You know, they certainly don't cost 250 grand for the year. And that's the amount of mess I got in because I didn't have these things in place. You know, and it's like, what you have to look at in business, it's a trade-off, yeah, between, like, for me, I have a PA who costs me X amount. But if I trade that off and put that to my clarity and my freedom and the fact that I can go and do this, the mentoring now, it's a return on investment that's massive, you know, like to free yourself up is huge. And the reason why I got in such a mess is because I wasn't free. I was busy, I was stuck, embedded in my business. I was caught in all of it. I had to do everything for the business, you know. And then I also had someone I didn't want to be in business with, and I'm kind of carrying them as well, you know. And yeah, like this whole thing of doing too much for your business, you can do too much for your business and you can be barking up the wrong tree, you know. Like sometimes you've got to work a bit smarter, do a bit less, you know, have a step back, let someone else take the lead, yeah, and manage them in that situation, because then it frees you up. I never had that, you know, and it's crazy because now I've got more office staff than I've ever had, and I'm making more money than I've ever had, you know. Whereas you'd think, no more office staff, he's going to be making less. No, because we're more systemized. I've got an overall look at things and I can see what my margin is. I can see what we're making each month, you know. And even with like management accounts that are done quarterly, you know. But not only that, you've got Zero looking at tracking all the software. We've got a software called StrikeSoft, which is a scaffolding software. Admittedly, we're probably not going to stay with them because there is an even better one that we are going to be going with, and we are going to be getting our clients to use as well. But like having these things in place, and like I said, I got myself in such a rut, nearly lost my whole business, and it's all because I was barking up the wrong tree. You know, I didn't have things in place that I needed to. And it's like anything, if you're not shown, you're not shown. But it's so simple to actually make your business systemized, and it's so simple to free yourself up. And then once you have these things, you then go to market, and then you're flying, you know. And like we do so much on marketing now, and it's just a very different ball game. But yeah, I would just say to anyone that just you need everything in your business to make sure that the back end is strong. If the back end is strong, then you'll never really be at risk, because the back end includes the way you market, and it includes the advertising and your systems and how you set up for the day and your organization, you know. And the thing is, if you have all of that, you'll attract good people. And if you've got all of that with the good people, you're going to win good business and repeat business, you know. But it all starts with now, and that's why, like, anyone that I'm working with, and that, on that note, if you're a construction business owner and you're struggling with your mindset, you're lost, you feel like you're in a rut, you feel like you're doing too much, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you want to do, you don't know how to get out of the situation you're in or where you even want to go, that is what I'm here for. And with the people I currently am working with, I'm telling them that we need to first, and with everyone I'm currently working with, the first thing that I do is work with them as a director. I'm working with the director, I'm working with the owner, I'm working with the puppeteer, the driver, you know, the master and leader of the operation, because if he's not all of these things, the operation hasn't got a chance, you know? In my WhatsApp channel yesterday that I've got for people who are interested in the mentorship, not people that are on it, people that are interested, yeah, and would like to learn little bits here and there. And I put a little bit of information in there yesterday. Now, a lot of the information in there is stuff that stays in there, and because they're in there, they get a bit more than everyone else. I put in there that you can be the best driver in the world, yeah? You can be the best driver, but if you turn up to a Formula 1 race and you've got a rubbish vehicle, you've got no hope. Now, the other side of it is you could be a rubbish driver and have an unbelievable vehicle, and again, you've got no hope. You need both. You need a driver and a vehicle. And if I'm honest, I do not know a single business mentor that delves into personal development like I do, but because it is monstrous. And when I nearly lost everything, I did not have the routine I have now. I was not doing anything for personal development. Nothing at all. I was not doing anything for personal development. Whereas now, once I got my routine straight, I got myself straight, you know, I became a good driver, my business changed as well, you know? And that's why, like, listen, I was a headless chicken. I didn't have anything in place. I was all over the place, didn't have any routine, you know, but I felt like I just lived my business. I felt like all my life was just the work, you know, it wasn't even business, it was just work, you know? And then once I got things in place and I started to get a hold of myself and get a proper routine and a structure, I've got self-respect for myself, you know? And I'm like, no, cool, listen, this morning bit, this is my time. The business can wait. In the evenings, yeah, the business can wait. Now I'm mentoring, that changes. I'm at people's beck and call.